Oh, we back.
Let me see if I got it in me one more time. Hey y'all, and welcome to the Jump Off. Ooh, child, y'all. I was like, you could have at least did your hair for the first episode back, but listen, a lot has been going on. Y'all gonna find out. And me just making it to this chair. What they say on what's that audio? A win is a win. Okay. I'll get prepped and pristine a little bit later. A couple of things before we jump into everything. This last season, you did hear that right. I did say last season. Shout out to Paula, our set designer consultant, because what I was gonna have for y'all, it would look a mess. It looked like a train wreck mess. And then also, I would like to dedicate this last season, as well as this entire show, to my late teacher, Dustin Felder, because without him, this show would have never started. It's crazy how I had this idea and I spoke it once in class, like, oh yeah, I wanna have this talk show, and gave all these excuses, and he was like, well, why don't you just do it? And sure enough, a couple weeks later, I went back to my apartment, I was like, you know what, he's right. I have all the tools, let's just do it. So without you, Dustin, this show would not be where it's at. So thank you for that. And I know you looking down on all of us and really just cutting up at all the things that we have accomplished so far. Then I also want to give a shout out to my trainer, Emily. We're going to talk about all that too, because y'all done seen me acting up in that gym. She gifted me this Jump Off mug. Now I don't drink coffee or tea really, but we're going to get our Wendy Williams on it. Spill all the tea. But let's cut right to the chase. So let's dive in. So today's topic is feeling like you're behind or feeling left behind. And baby, let's talk about it, okay? So my question for you all to start off is, have you ever felt like you were behind? Yes or no? So once you answer that question, then my next question for you is, what was the reason that got you to think that you were behind? Did you see a post from somebody that was doing something and made you feel like, oh, I should be there? Did your family say, why haven't you gotten married yet? And all these things, or the people around you, you see what they're doing and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not there yet. And so you've been feeling behind. So take that reason or that person or whatever was said to you, whatever it was that caused you to feel like that, take a step back and look at that and ask yourself, why does this person, this post, society, or whoever, why do these people get to create the milestone timeline for your life? Now, I'm asking you this because I had to ask myself this. I'm still in the process of asking myself this. If we're gauging ourselves where our parents were when they were our age, you have to understand that it was a different time. If we're gauging ourselves around the people that are around us or the people that we grew up with, those people came from different situations than what we came from. Their upbringing is different. The way that they look at the world, their financial background, experiences that they've had may be completely different than us. So why do we think our life is going to match up to their timeline? You just have to ask yourself, why do I feel behind? Where's this pressure coming from? And then allow yourself to step back away from that and say, chill. Because everybody's timeline is going to look different. Everybody's 25 didn't look the same. Everybody's 30 didn't look the same. I wanted to bring this topic first because right now I feel this encompassing cloud of anxiety, stress, depression, if you will, overwhelming, just all of these feelings because I feel behind, but I feel like it's my fault that I'm behind. If we rewind back 3 years ago, pandemic had just hit, and everybody was forced to reassess what they were doing or to maybe just take a break and take some rest. Everybody was doing that. I was like, well, shoot, I'm going to use this time to catch up so that when everybody is back on the scene after all this blows over, now I'm running at the same pace as everybody else on my level. I was just going, just continued to go, but the problem was I was going with no direction. I was like the Energizer Bunny, but just like sporadically just doing just random things. It seemed like I was gaining some traction with stuff because different things started to pop off for me and cool endeavors started coming my way. Got the New York Times article, did The Price is Right. I got a cool opportunity to work with Coast Contra, which is an up-and-coming rap group that's really popping off right now. Even got a job opportunity to work for an artist who is very well known. And all these things, and even a brand, Herschel, the brand, that was super dope. All these things seem to be, you know, popping off. And I was like, okay, we doing something. Didn't know what. If you asked me during this time, like, okay, well, what you working toward, or where, like, what's the direction we going in? I wouldn't have an answer for you, but I could tell you what was, you know, like, well, I don't know about that, but this is going well. But I didn't have any direction to it. Right. Because I was just going aimlessly, but going hard, and just putting my all into overworking myself because I felt like I needed to work double time to catch up and to make up ground. And then, you know, had all these different creative ideas where I was like, oh, I got to do all of this stuff and I got to do it all at once and all this. So I really like burnt myself out, was going on E, and I was like, oh, that's okay. I'll rest later. Like, even on E in your car, you can still go so many miles with that before you really run out of gas. So we good. And then fast forward back to where we are today. Just finally got my health matters in line, and I don't know what to do, and I feel like I'm even more behind than what I was 3 years ago. I'm looking at the people around me, and I'm seeing they are reaping the benefits of what they have sowed, and I'm over here like, I have nothing to show for it. And I really just am caught in this kind of cycle of like, well, shoot, had I not been doing this, and had I actually, like, you know, took the time to take a rest, my health wouldn't have been where it got to. Or if I would have just made a plan financially, I wouldn't be over here struggling to stay in this apartment. Or, you know, had I planned out where I wanted to go with my career, I could have been leagues ahead and already had this business and this, that, and those ventures together. But you see how that's a slippery slope of like, oh, well, if I would have just did this, and now I done wasted 3 years, and now, you know, everybody else doing what they supposed to be doing, and now they moving, they super far ahead, and I'm at this age, and these people younger than me making all this money and doing all this stuff. So exhausting. And then I'm battling like, oh, you know, like, I'm happy that you got this in this new opportunity and different things like that, and I'm over here just like, if I could just get a break on figuring out my purpose in life, I could know where I'm supposed to go, what I'm supposed to do. But I'm so happy for you and how far you've gotten, and this is opportunity number 73 that is working out for you, and things are going great. So I'm trying to, you know, it is hard sometimes. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Sometimes you get jealous, and sometimes you get envious, because it's like, dang, well, why can't that happen for me? Through all of that, recently, I had to take a step back and be like, Janice, chill. Yes, you feel like you were behind. It's okay if you feel like that. However, the time that you think you wasted was not actually wasted. It taught you something. So then I started to break down everything and look back at these 3 years and look at all the things that I've done. And I'm like, well, one, you got to be grateful for the opportunities that you did get, because I was in some pretty wild places I would have never expected, with some people I would have never thought I would have been able to meet or ever dreamed of meeting. So I had to assess all of that and say, yes, you may not be where you think you should be, wherever that is, but you learned about yourself in that time. I learned that although my body can work at this double, triple time speed, overworking itself while supporting other people and while giving my all, not getting sleep for a month and running on low fumes, but still be able to do a play and still be able to work out, you know, these super high intensity workouts and give my all to that and function. Although my body can do all of that stuff and function, I learned that it's not supposed to function like that. And I had to learn that the hard way, and we'll talk about that in multiple different ways. I learned now that if I operate at a speed like that and I push myself to that level, I can only go so far before I tap out. And if I allow myself to feel overwhelmed by my own pressure as well as the outside pressures, I am setting myself up for a recipe of a disaster. It just happened more than once, but this disaster was one where it was like, all right, you gotta learn this lesson. It's a perspective shift, really. If we take our time to say, it's valid that I feel like I'm not where I'm supposed to be, but also you have learned things. Although the road wasn't this and it was like this, you still made some progress, but you picked up different things along. You stopped at different gift shops, took the scenic route along the way. And then I also, had to step back and look and say, everybody's getting married, having kids, buying houses and this and that. Why am I not there? Well, these people was in a relationship with, 5 years ago. So if they are getting married this year, that makes sense. Janice, you wasn't in no relationship 5 years ago. You can't expect to be getting married this year. You have never looked for a house. You can't expect to be walking into some, 2-story duplex type situation, whatever. That math don't add up. So I can't look on social media and be like, dang, I wish I was there. How am I going to have kids if I don't have any of the equational elements to have kids? You wasn't thinking about that 2 years ago. So why all of a sudden now you mad that they having kids and you not having kids? Or why you mad that they just came into a 6-figure job at this accounting firm? Girl, I'm like, Janice, be for real. You're not an accountant. You can barely account for the money that you got. But my 30 doesn't look like everybody else's 30. At 30, I was out here, had a birthday party on a yacht, was working for Herschel at a good job, paid off my car. I'm looking at somebody else being like, why am I not there? Somebody might be looking at me being like, why am I not celebrating my birthday on the yacht, this and that. But meanwhile, I'm over here like, oh man, I'm not married with them 2.5 kids, out in the suburbs and da-da-da. Somebody looking at me thinking the same thing. But who told us that? Who said that I gotta be at the same level as you at 30, at 25? You know what I'm saying? So I really had to, come into that perspective shift, and that just recently happened because I just feel like I have to give my all to everything. Since I had to stop because I literally couldn't and physically couldn't give my all to everything, it caused me to be like, well, what did we learn? Because we're not going through that again. But if we just take a moment to stop and just actually look deeper, not just like, oh, well, in the last 2 years I did this, this, and this, but actually look deeper into the changes and the things that you went through to get to those different steps and those different levels. That'll show us, at least I learned this about myself. I learned that I don't want to work in this type of environment, or these type of people are not my people anymore. Or, this was super fun. I'm trying to continue to live in this style or this lifestyle or whatever. Now I know that to live like that, or to not be around those people, or to not work in that environment, I know what to avoid now. So we're always learning something. Even if we're not where we're supposed to be at, we're learning something, in my opinion, that is going to be useful for the next season or the next step or whatever the next thing is. So we just have to shift our perspective. Now that's not to say that I might not, pop open Instagram and be like, oh my gosh, why am I not that size? Or why am I not da-da-da-da? For me, it's going to happen. But if you're like me, we just have to take a time and be like, oh, wait. Look at where we at and look at where we came from. Because we done came away. Y'all, listen, we got a lot more to discuss this season on the Jump Off. That was just like okay, let me set the scene for y'all, and then I'm going to come out, about what's going on. We got some guests coming up, different locations, different activities to do. So I'm excited to share all of this with you all on this final season of the Jump Off. It's gonna be great, and I think we're all gonna have fun. So make sure you come back next week. Yeah, y'all have a great day, and just make sure to hug yourself, love yourself, and praise yourself.